Hi, I'm Jane and I love food and I love cooking, especially when I'm cooking in the kitchen with my son Eddie, who's a head chef. We're just passionate about food, aren't we?
We are, we love it.
So we've been out shopping as part of Food Secrets with the Norwood Payneham St Peters Council, and in amongst their council area are some amazing producers. Some of them are 3 or 4 generations old. Today we are making labna, which is made from yogurt, and this yogurt came from Moo. It's at Glynde and they use all Australian milk and they export their product all over Australia and overseas as well.
So labna is a really simple, basically a cheese that you can make at home. So it's just Greek yogurt. We hang it overnight. Some people hang it for 2 or 3 days depending on how hard you want it to get. It's from like Middle Eastern area, so Lebanon, Syria, a lot of places like that. So first step is we need to hang our yogurt. So for that we need a fine sieve. If you don't have a fine sieve, a regular sort of pasta strainer is fine. And then a chuck's cloth or a tea towel.
A clean one. That one hasn't done the dishes.
So we sit that in our strainer with a bowl underneath.
And basically you're catching the whey, the runny stuff.
We're straining the whey out of it, yeah.
Yep.
So that goes in. You'll probably lose anywhere from 15 to 30% depending on how long you strain it for. So we're just going to tuck that in, make sure it's nice and covered. And then just with a little bit of encouragement, we're going to put a plate on top to help press it. So we're going to set that aside in the fridge for 24 hours, come back to it and then we'll season it.
Take that away.
So yeah, we're going to make a really simple flatbread, just risen with yeast. So first of all, what we're going to do, we're going to add our water to our bowl. And our yeast. Depending on how warm it is in your house, anywhere, it'll take an hour, 2 or 3 hours to double in volume. Plain flour straight in. We're then going to add a little bit of olive oil. We've got the Rio Vista.
And that's from the Adelaide Hills.
Yeah.
Adelaide Hills olives and produced here, which is fantastic.
And then just a good pinch of salt. And then you just get stuck in with your hands.
Wow, I love that.
So making sure we're scraping down the edges so there's not any wispy bits floating about. So say if you wanted to make this recipe and you wanted to serve within the next hour or 2, leave this out, find a warm spot on a windowsill, cover it with cling film and a tea towel. But if you wanted to make this in the morning and then say you're going to serve it at dinner, just put that straight in the fridge and also start with really, really cold water to stop it proving. And it will take 6 to 8 hours to prove. So you can kind of...
you control it.
You can control it with temperature, yeah. So through the power of television, we've got one we made earlier. So this is now doubled in size.
2-3 hours ago?
Say 2.5 hours ago. And I put it somewhere cool because I knew it was going to take a while.
Wow, it's nice.
So we're just going to take this out and shape it into some smaller balls, let them rest. They will reprove a little bit, but we're just trying to let them rest. So once they're shaped, we can roll them out into our actual flatbreads. So we just rolled this out straight onto the bench, oiled our hands quite heavily and a little bit on the bench as well. And then we're just going to cut it into 6s. And then it's just a matter of shaping it into balls. There's a couple of methods you can do. This one's a bit easier, where you sort of stretch it over your hands and you're kind of folding it in on itself and using the palm under your thumb there to kind of pull it under. Oil our tray. The other method is you can sort of roll it around the bench in the palm of your hand, like so. If your bench is a little bit too oily, it might not happen.
So what happens next?
So now we're going to let these rest for about 20 minutes, half an hour. We're going to make sure we wrap them so they don't get a skin forming on them. And we're just going to give the gluten time to relax, so when we roll them out, they don't retract on us. So now our buns are resting. We've taken the labna out that you kindly strained for, it's good 24 hours, wasn't it?
I think I strained it from about 6 o'clock last night till 9 o'clock this morning, so only 15 hours.
Yeah.
But if you strain it longer, it becomes firmer.
So then to that, we're going to add our sumac, our ground sumac, ground coriander, and some lemon zest.
Now, sumac is something that I use. I use it in some of my cooking, but it's got a lot of paprika in it, hasn't it?
No,
Oh.
sorry. So sumac is actually just a dried berry.
Oh, a berry.
Yeah, so that's why it's got that sort of acidity and sort of zing to it. And also its color comes from the fact that, yeah, it's a fruit essentially. It's really commonly used in a lot of Arabic, Middle Eastern, Turkish cooking, but it complements the yogurt really, really well. So the reason we're adding lemon zest as opposed to juice is because the sumac and the yogurt already have a bit of that acidity. So if we were to add lemon juice, it would sort of be a bit of an overload, whereas with the lemon zest, we're kind of getting that lemon flavor. So that's plenty of lemon zest for this. We'll then add a little bit of the sumac, because it just gives it a bit of a different sort of fruitiness.
And a little bit of colour too.
Yeah.
It's going to liven it up.
And then we're going to add a little bit of dried and ground cumin, which is sort of synonymous with Middle Eastern cooking. Going to give it a good earthiness and a good amount of fragrance. But just to make sure we're not getting it confused with a yogurt dessert, we're going to add some salt just to season it.
The Norwood Payneham St Peters Council actually does food secrets tours, which Edward and I have been on, and they take you to a number of the different producers, and you go for the whole day. You get a show bag and you get samples, and you have lunch as well. I think it's about $55 a ticket, but it's really worth it.
Yeah, it was really good. So I just gave it a little bit more of a season. It's really important tasting as you go, checking in, making sure that you're on the right track. And now we're going to get our garnish ready, which is some roasted almonds and coriander seeds. So I'm going to do it in the saucepan with lots of olive oil, like quite a lot. So it's almost like
It's almost like it's swimming.
Exactly.
Oh wow, that's a
That's
lot.
got about a centimetre in that pan of just the Rio Vista. So instead of using a mortar and pestle, we can just use a small saucepan and just sort of go along and just crack them, just like so.
And they're going to absorb more oil and
Yeah.
fry up a bit better because they're crumpled up like that.
And see how we've got some that are quite fine, some that are a bit larger.
Some chunky, yeah.
I like that, you know, it gives it a sort of rusticness. So let's say maybe a tablespoon of coriander seed.
This is going to be fun. They're going to go all over the floor like little bowling balls.
They will. So I'm just going to gently crack those.
Yeah, actually they're not too bad, are they?
So we've just sort of cracked them so they're just in half. Some are a bit more broken than others. The reason I like to do it in the oil is because when you toast the almonds and the seeds in there, it infuses the oil as well, and then it's really beautiful to dress the labneh with, dip your bread in.
Gives that flavour. This dish has got a real Middle Eastern feel to it with the different spices that we're using. But the ingredients we've sourced all locally. It's all very accessible within our shopping area. You don't have to travel very far to buy the things to make. It's more of a snack we're making, isn't it? A shared snack.
So these are right where we want them. They've got that sort of lovely
Oh wow,
darkness
almost
to
that
them.
walnut colour. So you're getting that wonderful smell of the roasted almonds and then the coriander seeds.
So now we're just going to add a pinch of salt to that as well. So we've got everything ready. This is the last piece of the puzzle for the labneh recipe. So we've just oiled the bench down slightly. If you've got sort of a timber bench top at home and you don't want to do that, you can just do it on a plate like a civilized person. You don't have to go right on the bench. And then we're just going to, with our hands, kind of gently stretching out like this. We're not using our fingertips because we're going to break a hole in the dough. And if you find you're struggling, you can use a rolling pin, there's no harm. So whenever you add something to a pan, a hot pan with oil in it, always add it away from you so it doesn't splash on you. Yeah, and you'll see it'll start to puff up and bubble up.
Yeah, it's already puffing up there.
Yeah.
Look at that, little baby bubbles.
Just with the flatbread, we just want to make sure that we are cooking it through and not just getting colour on it. I mean, you can see that's getting a bit more bouncy there and it's sort of springing back at us.
Yep.
I reckon that's where we want it.
So these herbs that we have here today, I've grown in my garden. I'm so proud of them. I've got basil, I've got rosemary, I've got thyme, oregano, I've got some mint, which smells amazing. And down the front, I've got one lot of parsley.
I find with things, especially like rosemary, you get these really beautiful young leaves, whereas when you get it from the store, it's always quite woody and leathery, where this is super soft, super fragrant. So even with this one, Mum, you see we've gotten a bit darker than the others. That's totally fine.
It's because the pan's getting a bit hot probably, isn't it?
Yeah, to be honest, I quite like this. Like those bits there, they're always really delicious.
Yeah, crunchy.
And it's also got that sort of crispiness to it. And as you can see, I'm being pretty vigilant with cooking it. I'm constantly moving it, constantly checking it.
Yep.
So as we're cooking our last flatbread, we've had a little bit of a tidy up getting ready to serve. We've also got our flatbread, our labneh, our almond and coriander seed oil, and then just some pink sea salt flakes. So again, the way we're sort of serving this is a share style, and you can add it to a platter or serve it alongside your mains with some roast lamb or something like that. It'd be really delicious.
Beautiful. And you could easily like tear it up and dip it into the labneh and do all that. Yeah, I love it.
absolutely. So now we've got our labneh, and the idea is that guests or family members will just sort of spoon this onto the flatbread. We're just going to make a little well in the center, just so our almonds and coriander seed have a little area to rest and hang out. And then what else we can do is just dress our flatbread.
With some of that flavoured oil.
Some of that oil, pinch of that pink salt.
My herbs, use my herbs.
Yes, and just a little bit of your freshly grown Norwood City Council oregano on top.
We're keeping it local. We're keeping it very local. Well, Eddie, that was so much fun. I really enjoyed making the whipped labneh with the roasted almonds and coriander seeds and the flatbread. You know, it's something we could do with our family, with all the other kids and your brother and the nieces and nephews, but I really want to have a taste.
Alrighty,
Okay.
I'll serve you.
This is family style serving. It's all part of Food Secrets, which is part of Norwood Payneham St Peters Council. It's about promoting local businesses within this fabulous part of South Australia. Local producers, lots of them families, making great food. I hope you enjoy it too.
So just getting the family together to make this, there is a bit of a lead up and a bit of prep time into it, but that's the fun part, you know, making the bread, hanging the yogurt. But then once you sort of are in the thick of it, it's quite quick to get it done.
Oh, and it's so delicious. Like it's the best I've ever had. It's really, really yummy. I love making that together.
Yeah, really good.